Hello listeners and welcome to Team 1's recording of this week's West Lothian Boomerang, your talking newspaper. Our engineer tonight is Paul and the readers are myself, Wendy.
Me, Steve. And from me, George.
The articles are taken with permission from this week's issue of the West Lothian Courier dated the 19th of March 2026. And the lead story is Trans Woman Rapist Jailed for 9 Years. Johnson subjected schoolgirls to horrifying sexual attacks, an article by James Mulholland. A West Lothian trans woman who carried out a series of horrifying sex attacks on schoolgirls has been jailed for 9 years. Serenity Frances Johnson, 34, preyed on their victims, who cannot be named for legal reasons, in Livingston between November 2006 and April 2012. Johnson, who was formerly known by the name David, targeted girls who were aged between 8 and 15. The attacks took place between November 2006 and April 2012 and included sexual assaults and rape. Johnson of Broxburn denied any wrongdoing but was convicted on lewd and indecent conduct, rape and sexual assault charges. The accused was convicted following a trial at the High Court in Livingston in February this year. Judge Lord Mulholland deferred sentence for the court to obtain reports on Johnson's background. On Friday, the case called for sentencing at the High Court in Edinburgh. Defence advocate Jonathan Crowe told Lord Mulholland that his client takes medication for anxiety and panic attacks. Mr. Crowe also said that Johnson is in a relationship with a woman and has the support of family members. But Lord Mulholland said the nature of Johnson's crimes meant that the only appropriate disposal was to send the accused to prison. Passing sentence, Lord Mulholland said Johnson had robbed his 3 victims of their early life innocence and happiness. He said the sentences reflected Johnson's lack of remorse for the women he preyed upon. He added, the rapes of young children is a very serious matter and a lengthy prison sentence will be imposed on those who commit such crimes. I will impose a cumulative sentence of 9 years. A jury heard evidence of how Johnson's first victim was aged 9 years old when the abuse began. The court heard how Johnson carried out indecent and sexual assaults on the little girl and that he raped her. On one occasion between March 1st, 2011 and September 30th, 2012, he raped another young female at a house in Livingston. The charge to which Johnson was convicted of states how the accused exposed their penis and forced her to perform a sex act on them before the rape took place. The court also heard that on an occasion between March 1st, 2012 and April 30th, 2012, Johnson also carried out another sexual assault on a third female who was aged 15. Following conviction at Livingston, Lord Mulholland said, "These are very serious offences to rape children. You'll pay a very heavy price for what you did." Johnson was taken from the dock in handcuffs but was allowed to pick up a small blue handbag. The case comes amid a legal bid by Campaign Group for Women Scotland to overturn Scottish Government rules which allow biological men to be housed in female jails in some circumstances. A former prison governor has told the Sunday Mail newspaper in February that under the current ambiguous and illogical rules, Johnson could demand to be criminally held in a women's prison. Rona Hotchkiss, who ran Corton Vale in Stirling until 2017, said, "Until ministers make clear that no men will be allowed in a women's prison, there's always going to be risks to female inmates. With this latest case, the prison service may claim that because of the nature of the inmates' crimes, they will not be allowed in a women's prison. But if this individual was to take legal action on the grounds the current ambiguous policy is discriminating against them, they may well be successful. The Scottish Government's policy on housing trans prisoners is ambiguous, makes no logical sense, and is wide open to legal challenge. As things stand, the Scottish Government is saying some trans women are, but others are not depending on their crimes. But you can't have it both ways. Either they are or they are not. It's not difficult. There should be no men in women's prisons because they are men, and there should be no grey area. The case comes amid a legal challenge brought to the Court of Session earlier this year by Campaign Group for Women Scotland. The campaigners want to ensure that only biological women are held in female prisons. But they believe that Scottish Government prison guidance allows trans women to be placed in the female estate. They want Judge Lady Ross to declare that it is only lawful for biological women to be placed in the female estate. Lady Ross is yet to issue her judgment in the case. It is expected later this year. On Friday, Mr. Crowe told the court that his client had a troubled childhood. The lawyer used pronouns which are usually used by women when speaking about his client. He added, she was subjected to quite serious bullying, both at school and outside of it. Miss Johnson is currently in a relationship with a female, and she enjoys the continuing support of family members. Johnson was also placed on the sex offenders register for life.
Nursery set to be transformed into music hub. This is an article by Stuart Somerville. A former West Lothian nursery school will become a community music hub as part of an ambitious community asset transfer. The building will also become a permanent home for 3 bands that have carried the Bathgate name to success at home and abroad. West Lothian's Council Asset Transfer Committee approved the plan by Bathgate Band to take on a community lease of the old school. It is the start of a 4-year programme to transform the former Bathgate West Nursery into Bathgate Music Hub. In a report to the council officers described the proposals put forward by Bathgate Band SCIO (BBS) charity. BBS considers that the property offers an opportunity for the creation of a music hub, which they described as being a community-led initiative to secure a permanent, purpose-built space in Bathgate, delivering measurable benefits in education, well-being, inclusion and civic pride. BBS envisages the hub would provide affordable, high-quality rehearsal and performance facilities for local ensembles, performing arts groups and voluntary organisations, removing barriers to participation and strengthening Bathgate's identity as a vibrant centre for creativity. Under BBS's proposals, the Bathgate Music Hub would share a resource designed and initially governed by BBS, working in collaboration with a range of music organisations, including Bathgate Foundry Band, Bathgate Youth Band, Bathgate Buzzers, Bathgate Orchestra, People's Ford Bog Hall and Bathgate Caledonian Pipe Band, Bathgate Strings and Scottish Brass Band Association. In its presentation, Bathgate Band said, for more than a decade, Bathgate Band and partners have relied on short-term leases, often outside Bathgate, creating a disconnect between identity and delivery. Temporary venues lack acoustic quality, safeguarding features, storage and scheduling flexibility. Every pound spent on short-term accommodation is a pound diverted from youth development and community engagement. A permanent hub is essential to protect and grow opportunities for local people. Derek Brown from the band said, Bathgate Music Hub is not just a building, it's a strategic investment in Bathgate's future. It brings home 3 ensembles and proudly carries Bathgate's name and creates a space for everyone. One objector addressed the meeting. Claire Saffett had offered to buy the building to convert into a family home and establish her yoga business in the playground area of the former school. She argued that the Bathgate Band plans only had offers of support from others rather than signed commitments of tenancy. She claimed the potential costs of the project and proposed income had not been thought through. Councillors on the committee backed the transfer of the band. Alison Adamson told the meeting that the 2-year community benefit lease would allow the band to develop a hub which would work with and for the community. She told the meeting, bands work like an enlarged family. They often have different generations involved. What is very strong is their sense of community. You have a lot of work ahead of you. We have high hopes and hopefully we'll have a new load of bands to come out of the hub. And there's a picture of the building, the former nursery, which is set to be transformed into the Bathgate Music Hub.
Consultation on Pool's future is to be launched. An article by Jacob Farr. The mothballed community Armadale swimming pool is in danger of being demolished unless a new solution can be found to save the site. The move has angered locals of the West Lothian town, who are furious their area may lose a vital asset which has been closed since 2023. West Lothian Council cited monthly financial losses and the potential for other ex-site leisure sites managed by the local executive entering insolvency if the pool is not closed. They are about to start an 8-week community consultation to determine its future. A petition opposing its sale, lease or demolition has so far gained 2,000 signatures. Over 150 locals were said to have gathered at a meeting on Thursday, March the 12th, to voice their concerns over the potential loss of the pool. Armadale residents argue future generations could be robbed of a well-loved community asset. Prior to the pool closing in September 2023, the council sought expressions of interest both from commercial and community groups who might be interested in operating the site, but no financially viable interests were received. Chris Pollock, 30, who runs the Regal and Crossbar in Armadale, said the pool would be a massive loss for locals if it were to be permanently closed. He said, "I used the pool and sauna quite a lot. It was always busy. The council should really put more funding into it. Outside of football, there is nothing in the town for Waynes to do. Go along that high street and everything is shutting. Something is needed to help the community out. When I was younger, you could hire places out to go swimming. It's why there is so much trouble with the Waynes now. Everything is just being cut." Gillian Dunnigan, who started the petition to save the swimming pool, has been joined by neighbours en masse to demand the pool be saved. The petition argues the loss of the pool will have a significant impact on the community. It adds residents have faced travel barriers, increased costs and reduced access to physical activity since its closure in 2023. The potential for the permanent closure of the swimming pool is at odds with a council locality plan which sets out to improve health and well-being outcomes in the former mining town. The council previously engaged with Armadale Thistle Football Club on community-led proposals for the property. However, the club was not able to take these proposals further. Since 2023, the pool has not been drained. This was aimed at minimising potential costs if anyone wished a future reopening of the pool. The council say, while the operating costs of maintaining the building have been minimised, they have been increasing these costs for over 2.5 years, and it is not sustainable to meet these indefinitely. At any net proceeds from the sale of or lease of the property would go directly to the Armadale Common Good Fund, with community groups able to make bids into that fund through the Armadale and Blackridge Local Area Committee. The council has announced a consultation for the fate of Armadale Pool. Current proposals could see it advertised for sale or put at risk of being demolished. The 8-week community consultation on proposals for the property would be launched soon, according to the council, with results being reported back to the council executive in June of this year. An announcement from the council read, Armadale groups and residents are being encouraged to put forward their views on the future of the former pool site. West Lothian Council will soon launch a consultation over proposals to advertise this surplus property for sale or lease on the open market. The site is classed as common good property, which means it's owned by the council with statutory processes that the council must follow it if it wishes to change the use of the property or dispose of it. An 8-week community consultation on the proposals for the property will launch soon, with the results reported back to the executive for the council in June 2026. Any net proceeds for the sale or lease of the property would go directly to Armadale Common Good Fund, with community groups being able to make bids into that fund through the Armadale and Black Ridge Local Area Committee. Deputy Council Leader Susan Mannion added, it would encourage any local community group or interested individuals to come forward with their views on the proposals to market the site if a viable community use is to be found. We hope the community consultation will act as a catalyst and help see currently unused property back into positive use for the Armadale community.
MP Sullivan is spearheading new campaign, an article by Ross Thompson. Bathgate and Lithgow MP Kirstine Sullivan is spearheading Endometriosis UK's campaign calling on all UK governments to commit to reduce the average time for diagnosis to 1 year or less by 2030. New data released by Endometriosis UK this week revealed that the average time to receive a diagnosis of endometriosis in Scotland has now reached 10 years and 2 months. Alarmingly, this figure has increased from an average of 8 years and 6 months reported in 2020. This represents the worst waiting times in the UK, where averages peak at 9 years and 4 months. At Prime Minister Questions this week, Ms Sullivan raised these damning statistics and asked Sir Keir Starmer to reduce diagnosis wait times and end the lost decade for women living with endometriosis. Ms Sullivan pointed out that 9 years and 4 months ago, Britain was basking in its success after the Rio Olympics. But each day, month and year since, women have lived with the chronic pain of undiagnosed endometriosis. She said, whilst I'm appalled by the shocking waiting times across the UK for women to receive a diagnosis for endometriosis, I am regrettably not surprised. For too long, women's health issues have been sidelined, and this must change. Endometriosis can be debilitating and devastating. Women suffering from this condition deserve timely and compassionate diagnosis, treatment and care. Above all, women must be heard and believed. Endometriosis is a long-term chronic condition where tissue similar to the lining of the womb grows elsewhere in the body. It's common, affecting around 1 in 10 women. Symptoms vary and can be very severe and debilitating. Common symptoms include pelvic pain, painful periods that interfere with everyday life, heavy menstrual bleeding and pain during or after sex. Around 1.5 million women in the UK are currently living with endometriosis. Emma Cox, CEO of Endometriosis UK, said, "It is unacceptable that those living with endometriosis have to endure years of pain and uncertainty before receiving a diagnosis. Our findings underscore the urgent need not only for increased awareness and understanding of endometriosis and menstrual health among healthcare providers, but for this to be translated into action with appropriate levels of resources allocated by the NHS to overcome far too long waiting lists. Endometriosis care has been neglected for too long and the situation is getting worse. Governments across the UK must treat endometriosis as a common chronic condition that requires systematic action, and we want an unequivocal commitment to reduce average diagnosis time to 1 year or less by 2030.
Dunblane, 30 years on. It's an article by Stuart McFarlane. Much Love Centre is a worthwhile memorial to all victims of the 1996 tragedy. The important facility is still serving as a beacon of light in the community. As the people of Dunblane remember those lost in the tragedy 30 years ago today, a community facility built in an effort to come together is embracing the future. The Dunblane Centre was built in 2004 after an 8-year project in the aftermath of the events of March the 13th, 1996, all with the determination of giving the young people of the town a positive outlet. It became a reality due to the overwhelming outpouring of generosity and goodness from all over the globe. The majority of the funding for the 1.6 million centre came originally from our sister title, the Sterling Observer's Dunblane Help Fund, which ultimately gathered more than £2 million of the total £5 million raised for the families and community. The dignified determination of a group of volunteers brought on board after the tragic events at Dunblane Primary School to ensure a positive legacy has seen the centre overcome more recent financial challenges. No more clearly has this been seen than in a recent event at the centre to celebrate the big-hearted donation of a local couple of 96 solar panels for the centre's roof, estimated to save between £5,000 and £9,000 every year in running costs. It's the vision of Rob and Julie Forrest, owners of local renewable energy firm Green Power, to help the centre in whatever way they could. Julie said, helping this important community facility to reduce energy bills by installing a solar array seems like the best way we could help, and we are delighted to see it all come to fruition. The panels will also help to reduce the environmental impact of the centre in a sustainable way. A launch event to celebrate the installation of the panels saw representatives from the centre join the Forests and local councillors Alistair Tolmash and David Wilson, with a group of pupils from Dunblane High also in attendance. Another of those present on the day was resident Nora Gilfillan, one of those involved with the centre from its very inception during the town's darkest of days. Nora has returned to the board of the centre as a trustee after a hiatus, which was the project coordinator for the centre when the idea of acquiring the former territorial army building on the site was first mooted. Like so many in the town, she has a history with the events of that day, having been on the primary school's board back in 1996, as well as having an 8-year-old daughter who was at the school that day. She said, "I'm delighted with the way the centre is now part of the community and all ages use it, as we always hoped. If we need help, we know the community will step up for us." Mrs. Eddington, who was the deputy head of the primary school, and I met her outside the church following the funeral of one of the children who was killed. This was the early days when we couldn't see a way forward through the darkness and fear, and she said she hoped for something good to come out of this, somewhere for the children to be able to come out and play and be safe. I didn't think at that stage that any of us would ever be able to sleep properly, never mind have a place like this. There was around 25 people at the meeting, and that big group became a smaller, steadier group of around 10, and we started to think how we could turn this disused building into a youth club. In 2023, the centre's future appeared to be at risk as it ran at a loss, and the number of volunteers and trustees had depleted. But Nora, like others who have seen the centre's value over decades, stepped up to the plate to ensure it continues going from strength to strength today, with the focus now on completing the handover to the next generation. Nora added, "It was in financial difficulties around 3 years ago when I became aware of that. I did panic because it was so important not to see this building fail. The centre is a living tribute to the children who lost their lives and all of those involved with the tragedy. The money was sent to Dunblane at the time from all over the world. I feel it would be a travesty and not a tribute if people came past this building and it was to shut because no one was able to use it. It does take a lot of time to run, and so it has to be run with very close attention to finances, and we can't be complacent. We have turned it around, and so much so that we have managed to do some improvements. And with the team we can look to the next generation to help secure its future for the next 30 years. A few of the people that were here when the centre first opened are back helping out, and we will have achieved what we wanted to achieve when we can walk away and know this place is in safe hands. The anniversary of the tragedy was quietly marked across the town. Dunblane Cathedral, St Blaine's Church and Lacropt Kirk opened their doors during the day to offer quiet reflection. Meanwhile, the Church of the Holy Family held a Dunblane Primary School 30th year anniversary remembrance mass at 6 p.m. And there's some lovely photographs here of the solar panels being sort of handed over, and there's a plaque being unveiled. But there's also an interesting photograph of Mick North, who was the father of Sophie, who was killed in the Dunblane tragedy, and he's releasing some white doves on Saturday, September the 25th, 2004, which was the opening day of the Dunblane Centre. And what's quite interesting is there's lots of children watching, open-mouthed, and one of them has a tiny little camera and is taking a picture. And I've no doubt if that was taken today, every child in that picture would have a phone held up. There we go.
Local honours, those we will never forget. And this is by Kaya Marjorie Banks, and it's another article relating to the events at Dunblane. 30 years ago, the children of Dunblane were mourned across the town and the local community, and have continued to do so every day since. This community has never needed constant reminders from the outsiders of what happened on the darkest of days, and never has. Reminders are only for that which you are likely to forget. 16 P1 children and their teacher are held each and every day in the hearts of us all, as are all those who were directly impacted by the awful events on March the 13th, 1996. This is, therefore, not a time for remembrance for local people. They have never forgotten and never will forget. Abigail McLennan, Brett McKinnon, Charlotte Dunn, David Kerr, Emily Morton, Emily Crozier, Hannah Scott, Joanna Ross, John Petrie, Kevin Hassel, Megan Turner, Melissa Curry, Mary McBeath, Ross Irvin, Sophie North, and Victoria Clydesdale. They are all forever to remain 5 and 6, nor their teacher, Gwen Mayer. To honour them, however, we should also never forget that, in the worst of times, and amid unfathomable grief, their families and this community confronted evil and somehow emerged with dignity and grace, and with determination to protect others from similar heartache. No one should ever underestimate the navigation of emotions that entailed. 3 decades ago, the world flooded Dunblane with gifts and messages, symbols of how desperately decent people wished they could take away the intense pain and overcome evil with good. But the greatest gift was that given back to mankind by the families and community of Dunblane. Dunblane could have simply been symbolic of the worst of humanity. However, it became symbolic of the best of it.
Bin stores targeted by fly tippers, an article by Stuart Somerville. Fly tippers are targeting bin stores in a West Lothian housing estate to dump rubbish. A councillor told a meeting she had witnessed suspicious activity in Ladywell, Livingston. The dumpers fled when they realised Councillor Maria Macaulay was taking photographs. Livingston South Local Area Committee also heard that council teams had dealt with 137 incidents of fly tipping and community clean-up collections in the ward between October and December. Councillor Macaulay told Housing Officer Natasha Lewis, "You are probably sick of hearing me about the bins in Ladywell. I know from just attending and checking the bins because they're right beside the road, anybody can come and just dump things. As I was walking last week, a car was driving slowly beside me. They saw me taking photos and then drove off at speed. I can't imagine what they were going to dump, but they were going to dump something. So it's not always the responsibility of the flats. What's being done to try and alleviate the problem, where people who don't live in the area come along?" Ms Lewis said, "I know the estates team are constantly visiting the area and checking on what's being dumped. I will pass your comments on to the estates manager on this." Councillor Macaulay also asked about the most common items being left in stairwells, another major focus of the estate team's work. "I'm hoping there would be nothing of a fire safety risk," she added. Ms Lewis replied, "The most common things in stairwells tend to be items of rubbish, black bags and things that people leave out to take to the bin at a later date, and then maybe don't. If there's anything of any risk, anything flammable or motorbikes, then our estates team do work very quickly to get that removed." In her report to the committee, Ms Lewis said, "There are persistent issues at Fernbank regarding improper recycling practices and items being left in the communal stairwell. Some residents continue to dispose of waste incorrectly or fail to follow recycling guidelines, contributing to untidiness in the common areas, despite putting in an extra common grey bin." She added, "The estate assistants are actively engaging with residents in the communal flats in Ladywell to promote adherence to recycling guidelines and encourage the responsible use of shared spaces. Tenants are being recharged costs of clearance following appropriate notification. The team are also working collaboratively with colleagues across West Lothian Council."
Get involved in the big spring clean-up. This is an unattributed article. Everyone across West Lothian is being encouraged to roll up their sleeves and keep the community beautiful as part of #SpringCleanScotland. Coordinated by environmental charity Keep Scotland Beautiful, Spring Clean Scotland is the country's largest annual mass litter picking event and takes place until April the 24th. More than 10,000 people have already registered across Scotland, pledging their time and energy to address the litter that is polluting our country. And there are already 32 events planned in West Lothian. Earlier this year, Keep Scotland Beautiful revealed 50% of Scottish adults admitted to littering in the past 12 months. This, combined with the 88% of people who believe litter is a problem nationally, highlights the scale of the task at hand. Barry Fisher, Chief Executive at Keep Scotland Beautiful, said, "As we launch this year's Spring Clean Scotland, I'm delighted to say we've already passed 10,000 registrations, but we need thousands more. We're calling for the next Scottish Government to do more to address litter by investing in prevention, behaviour change and enforcement. And it would be fantastic to see party leaders, MSPs and prospective MSPs show their commitment by tackling litter during Spring Clean, either by organising a clean-up or supporting a local event." Rebecca Gallagher from West Lothian Litter Pickers added, "West Lothian litter pickers are very excited to be able to take part in this year's Spring Clean, so it's important for both the environment and our community." To help raise awareness of the campaign across the country, Keep Scotland Beautiful has partnered with CityLink, who have wrapped a bus with our litter mascots to urge more people to get involved. Hashtag Spring Clean Scotland runs until April the 24th. And to find a clean-up event near you or register your own, visit www.keepscotland.org/clean-up-spring-clean-scotland/ for more information. And there's a lovely picture of group of people, youngsters, and some adults standing on the promenade with a CityLink bus behind them, and the sort of mascots dressed up as a washing up liquid bottle, a plastic cup, and a bag of crisps. I'm not so sure what the other one. It might be a bar of chocolate.
Postcode Lotteries Thank You, an article by Ross Thompson. Generous players of People's Postcode Lottery in West Lothian have helped raise more than £7 million for international school feeding charity Mary's Meals, supporting its transformational work to encourage hungry children into the classroom and help them build a brighter future through education. The decade-long partnership between Postcode Lottery and Mary's Meals has achieved remarkable success. Thanks to players, 478,968 children now receive nutritious meals every school day, with more than 39 million meals served to date in 16 countries around the world through this support. Laura Chow, Head of Charities at People's Postcode Lottery, says it's fantastic to know that for a decade our players have supported the essential work of Mary's Meals and have now raised an incredible £7 million to help children across the globe access nutritious meals. This funding helps children in some of the most underserviced communities go to school well-fed, ready to learn, and full of hope for a brighter future. During the first 7 years of the partnership, funding from People's Postcode Lottery players played a key role in supporting Mary's Meals work, including Kenya, Liberia, Malawi, Zambia, Madagascar, Ethiopia, and South Sudan, as well as strengthening the organisation through key organisational development projects. More recently, funding has been provided on an unrestricted basis, enabling Mary's Meals to direct resources where they are needed most across all 16 countries where it operates. Over the past 10 years, players from West Lothian have helped support significant milestones in the Mary's Meal journey, from feeding 1 million children in 2015 to the expansion of school feeding programmes in Tigray, Ethiopia and Syria in 2017, and the launch of a new programme in Mozambique in 2024. At the end of last year, Mary's Meals reached a major milestone, now serving daily meals to more than 3 million children worldwide. This achievement was driven by programme expansions in the first half of 2025, which saw 462,000 additional children across Ethiopia, Haiti, Liberia, Madagascar, Malawi, Southern Sudan, Zambia and Zimbabwe benefit from school feeding programmes. Such progress would not have been possible without the vital support of People's Postcode Lottery players, whose contribution continued to fuel the charity's growth. Gemma Love, Philanthropy and Institution Partnership Manager, said, "We are incredibly grateful to People's Postcode Lottery in West Lothian, whose ongoing support is helping us reach more children than ever before with a daily school meal that encourages learning, brings hope and changes life. Seeing the difference this support makes for children and communities inspires us to keep going and to reach even more children in the years ahead. To find out more about the work of Mary's Meals and ways to get involved, please visit marysmeals.org.uk.
And now we have the intimations, and this week there is one death. Robert Mackey, West Calder, passed away on the 6th of March at the Royal Infirmary in Edinburgh after a short illness. Beloved husband of the late Clemens Mackey and a much-loved brother, uncle and friend to many. His funeral service will take place at West Lothian Crematorium on Monday the 23rd of March at 3 p.m. And now we'll continue with the news. Mum of autistic man makes heartfelt plea after decade of fighting for care. My son has been in hospital for 10 years. This can't go on any longer. He has suffered enough. It feels like my boy is in prison, but the years go on and nothing changes. An article by Edel Keneally. A distraught mother whose son has been locked in hospital for almost a decade says he has suffered enough as she pleads with the authorities to bring her boy home. Sylvia McMahon has been fighting for years for a suitable home and care package for her non-verbal autistic son Jamie Henry. Despite being medically fit for discharge for around 6 of his 10 years in hospital, Renfrewshire Health and Social Care Partnership has failed to find him accommodation in his hometown of Paisley. The 28-year-old has instead been locked in a high-security psychiatric ward at Woodland View Hospital in Irvine, Ayrshire. His grandmother died in November, having postponed trips to Ireland and other family travel until he came home. That day never came. Sylvia told The Express this just can't be allowed to go on any longer. Jamie has suffered enough. He needs to get back into his routine with his family. The years go on and nothing changes. It feels like my boy is in prison. His family is all he has ever known, and the time we get to spend with him is limited. I get a few hours with him on a Thursday and a Sunday. I keep telling him Mum goes to all the meetings. Mum is trying her very best. He texts me and his papa. He texts me my address. His memories are so vivid, he just wants to come home. Jamie was first admitted to a mental health unit at Arrow Park, Ayr in October 2016. He had been sectioned aged 19 after becoming increasingly distressed when staff at a new unit for autistic young people recommended he have less family time with his family in order to help him settle into his new environment. But it had the opposite effect, and he started to display challenging behaviour towards staff. At the time, medics suggested a hospital stay would allow Jamie to change this behaviour, while arrangements were to be made for his long-term care. By January 2017, he was deemed well enough to leave, but Renfrewshire HSCP had failed to find him supported accommodation. Instead, he remained in hospital on delayed discharge for 3 years. He was, however, allowed outings with his family and stayed with Sylvia 4 nights a week. But the COVID-19 lockdowns were catastrophic for Jamie. He was locked in his hospital bedroom for prolonged periods and prevented from seeing his family. The worst possible environment for an autistic boy who loves to be outdoors. Jamie deteriorated rapidly and was transferred to the intensive psychiatric ward at Woodland View Hospital, where he remained confined to small spaces during lockdowns. His behaviour became increasingly challenging and became aggressive towards staff. Despite again being dubbed fit for discharge in 2023, Renfrewshire Health and Social Care Partnership said that would only be possible with a team of specially trained carers. The difficult behaviour exhibited during lockdown means Jamie is no longer allowed to visit his family at home, and he now requires a team of at least 3 carers when out with the hospital grounds. He is also now said to need a large bungalow to accommodate his needs and a team of carers. Sylvia said between 2017 and 2020 there were no concerning behaviours. All Jamie needed was a house and a carer. At that time, he came to stay with me 4 days a week. All of that is gone now due to the distress he experienced and behaviours he displayed during the pandemic. Had the HSCP found him a home, as they should have done in 2017, and he wasn't on delayed discharge for 3 years, none of this additional support would be needed. I keep being told they're exploring all angles for housing, but it's been 10 years. It's not right what's happening. My mum passed away in November. She kept saying we will take him to Ireland when he gets out, but all these years have passed and it's never happened. Jamie is one of hundreds of young adults with autism or learning disabilities who are living in hospitals instead of being supported to lead meaningful lives in the community. He was one of 4 young men featured in the BBC disclosure documentary Locked in Hospital in 2022. Scotland and its government were horrified to see these young people living in such conditions, often far from home and in environments which several medics and experts argued only exacerbated their challenges. Often their behaviour became worse instead of better. The Scottish Government committed months later to establish the Dynamic Support Register to help get people out of hospital. Jamie was added to the register on its inception. A spokesperson for Renfrewshire HSCP said, "A multidisciplinary team meets regularly with the aim of finding Jamie a suitable home and care package." Explaining he has been spending more and more time out with the ward with the support of carers, the spokesperson said, "We continue to work collaboratively with Jamie's family and relevant partner organisations to find the right community supports for him. We don't discuss the details of individual cases, but it is important to acknowledge the complexity of Jamie's needs and the amount of collaborative work and planning that has already happened and continues to progress. We care about Jamie's safety and well-being, as well as that of the staff and support teams involved with this care. It remains a priority for us to find the right solution for Jamie. We are in regular contact with his mum and are committed to involving her in all aspects of Jamie's care. In February 2022, the Scottish Government promised to move the majority of people like Jamie out of hospital by March 2024. That target has not been met. Mental Wellbeing Minister and Renfrewshire South MSP Tom Arthur said, "It is completely unacceptable that people are spending time in hospitals or other care settings when they are medically fit for discharge. The most recently published Dynamic Support Register, DSR, data shows positive progress with fewer people delayed in hospital or in inappropriate out-of-area placements compared to last year. We will continue to work with local authorities to support people to move into the community. A coming home action plan will be published in March. The Locked in Hospital documentary is available to view on BBC iPlayer."
Now, this next article is part of the Club of the Week section in the newspaper, and it includes an interview with Steve Firth, who is the manager of Regal Radio, West Lothian's community radio station. So it's a sort of a form of a question and answer format that we've got here. So first question to him was to tell us some background information on your club. Regal Radio is a local community radio station with around 20 members. Most of us broadcast shows on a weekly or monthly basis, and our age range is from 12 to 65. Our focus is community engagement, and we broadcast music, spoken word, and community-based shows 24/7. Katrina, there's a picture of Katrina here as well, has been with the station for many years and does 2 shows, one called Mostly Movies and the other called Mostly 80s. She serves on the committee and manages our socials. Aaron, who's also pictured in the article, has been with us for over 2 years, and he's 17. He broadcasts a weekly show of music and includes features on unusual news stories. Andrew's show is a right Regal pick and mix. There's a picture of Andrew as well, and consists of 2 hours of music, news, fun, and musical mysteries. Brian's show is mostly oldies and rotten jokes, and I do meltdown and calm down shows on Sundays. The first hour is banging tunes to squeeze the last bit of the weekend, followed by a more mellow menu of tunes to ease you out of your Sunday. The next question is, on what days do your club or group meet, and where and how much does it cost? We don't meet regularly as such, except for committee meetings, AGMs or events. All of our presenters record and broadcast from home since we moved out of our studio a couple of years ago. Subscriptions vary with broadcast output to a current maximum of £15 per month. What is the most satisfying part of the club / group? For me personally, it's the community engagement and connecting with listeners. Are there any difficulties or challenges facing the club? Our main challenge is about increasing awareness of the station and increasing our listenership. What is next for the club or group, and do you have any upcoming events? During the summer, we regularly attend fairs and outdoor events. We are also incorporating a float in this year's Bathgate procession and are also advertising with other local gala days. And as well as pictures of all those people, there's one of Steve Firth as well, standing in front of the Forth Bridges. And he's got a bright orange shirt on, actually, and a purple jacket. Looks very dapper. And if you've got a club that you'd like to feature in this section, then you can email the paper at news@westlothiancourier.co.uk.
The next article is by Ross Thompson and is entitled Equity Advisor Nominated for Industry Award. A Livingston mortgage advisor has been nominated for a major UK industry award recognising professionals who help clients secure mortgages in more complex circumstances. Colette Campbell, an advisor at West Lothian-based brokerage Green Shoots Financial, has been shortlisted at the British Special Lending Awards 2026 in the Adverse Credit category, supported by Quantum Mortgages. Colette is a fully qualified equity release mortgage and insurance advisor at Green Shoots Financial. She began her career overseeing regularly and compliance work before qualifying through the Chartered Insurance Institute. She specialises in helping clients with complex circumstances across mortgages, solutions, and step onto the property ladder. The awards recognise advisors and businesses across the UK who are helping to raise standards and provide specialist mortgage solutions for clients who might struggle to access traditional lending. For Colette, the nomination reflects the work she does every day during the time she supports clients who may feel their path to home ownership is out of reach. Many of the people she works with have experienced credit challenges or have previously been declined for a mortgage. Instead of accepting this outcome, Colette focuses on understanding each client's situation and exploring specialist lending options that could help them move forward. That approach can make a significant difference for clients who thought owning a home might no longer be possible. Colette said, "This nomination means a lot to me. Many of the clients I work with come to us after being told that they can't get a mortgage, so helping them realise that owning a home may be still possible is an incredibly rewarding activity. Every situation is different, and I'm passionate about taking the time to find the right solution for each person." The judging panel will review nominations from March the 19th, with the award ceremony taking place in May the 14th at the Hilton London Bankside. Green Shoots Financial, based in West Lothian, provides mortgages and protection advice to clients across the UK. Owner Donna Murray said that the recognition highlights the importance of specialist mortgage advice. She said, "We are incredibly proud of Colette and the difference she makes for clients every day. Many people assume that if they have had credit issues in the past, owning a home may no longer be possible. Advisors like Colette show that with the right guidance and specialist knowledge, there are often solutions that people simply weren't aware existed."
Appeal after ram raid drama at Ammonvale. 4 men tried to gain access to the shopping centre, an article by Ross Thompson. Police in Livingston are continuing inquiries and appealing for information following a ram raid incident at the Ammonvale shopping centre. Around 12:15 a.m. on Tuesday, March the 17th, a black Nissan Duke car and white Audi S5 vehicle approached the east side of the shopping centre. 4 men got out of the vehicles, smashed an external display window and entered briefly but were unable to gain entry to the main store. One of the men then re-entered the Nissan Duke and reversed the vehicle through one of the bollards and smashed through both sets of glass doors, allowing entry to the shopping centre. The 4 culprits then entered one of the shops and grabbed several reels of designer clothing, which they placed in the Audi vehicle. A short time later, the Nissan vehicle is set alight by one of the suspects, who then enters the Audi vehicle along with the other 3 suspects, and they drive off at speed along the pathway towards the roadway and into Ammonvale Road, heading east. Police and Scottish Fire and Rescue Service attended, and the Nissan vehicle fire was extinguished but completely burnt out. The Audi vehicle has since been recovered nearby on the outskirts of Decmont, and a quantity of stolen property was found within the vehicle. The suspects had fled the scene. Extensive inquiries are ongoing to establish the value of the items taken. Detective Inspector Lee Beaumont said, "Thankfully no one was injured as a result of this incident. It was a carefully planned operation in which the 4 suspects had no thought for the safety of others at any time. The suspects were all wearing dark clothing with their faces covered and were armed with a variety of equipment to enable them to break into the shopping centre and store within. It is vital that we trace the men responsible, and I urge anyone who has seen the vehicles hanging around the area or has captured them on CCTV or dashcam to contact police immediately. Anyone with the information should contact police via 101, quoting incident number 0052 of the 17th of March 2026. Alternatively, calls can be made to Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111, where anonymity can be maintained."
MP backs £2.5 billion drive for youth employment, 3-year plan to create new jobs and apprenticeships, an article by Ross Thompson. Livingston constituency MP Gregor Poynton has welcomed a major youth employment drive from the UK Labour government, which will invest £2.5 billion over the next 3 years to create new jobs, apprenticeships and training opportunities for young people. The programme forms part of Labour's Youth Guarantee, which aims to ensure that every young person aged 16 to 24 has a chance to earn or learn through employment, training or education. An announcement comes as the number of young people not in education, employment or training, NEET, rose sharply under the previous Conservative government, increasing by around 250,000 between 2021 and 2024, leaving almost 1 million young people across the UK without work or study. The new package includes £1 billion in funding to help unlock more than 200,000 jobs for young people, alongside the biggest transformation of apprenticeships in a decade. Mr. Poynton said the investment would help ensure young people across the Livingston constituency and West Lothian can access the skills, training and employment opportunities they need to succeed. He said, "When our young people succeed, the Livingston constituency and West Lothian succeeds too. I refuse to accept a future where a generation is written off to unemployment or a life on benefits. That's unfair on them, and it holds our local economy back." Labour's Youth Guarantee will help ensure more young people can access training, apprenticeships or support to get into work. I'm really pleased the government has committed $2.5 billion to creating new pathways for our young people. Here in West Lothian, we have brilliant young people and strong local employers. And this investment will help create more opportunities locally so that young people can earn or learn and build a future here in our community. Key measures in the government's plan include a new youth jobs grant offering businesses £3,000 for every young person aged 18 to 24 they hire who has been on universal credits and looking for work for 6 months. The scheme is expected to support 60,000 young people over 3 years. There is also the expansion of the jobs guarantee from those aged 18 to 21 to 18 to 24, creating more than 35,000 additional subsidised jobs and supporting over 90,000 young people in the next 3 years. Reforms to apprenticeships and growth and skills levy to prioritise young apprentices and ensure school and college leavers can access careers in key sectors such as engineering, clean energy, construction and digital industries. New foundation apprenticeships expanding into sectors such as hospitality and retail to help young people take their first steps in the workplace. The UK government says the reforms will support almost 1 million young people and help create up to 500,000 opportunities to earn or learn over the next 3 years. Mr. Poynton said that measures would also support local employers and education providers working to develop skills and training opportunities in the area, including those supporting apprenticeships and vocational training across West Lothian.
Mouth-watering pie sees Boghall claim win. Bathgate-based pie expert Boghall Butchers has triumphed at this year's British Pie Awards, taking home the prize for the best steak and kidney pie with their impressive creation steak and kidney round. The pie maker beat off 21 mouth-watering entries in this category to take home the iconic accolade. The Pie Award has been honoured with the most predictable pies across the nation for the past 18 years, ranging from British staples to tantalising trend-topping creations. The competition comprises of 26 distinct categories encompassing traditional favourites alongside vegetarian, vegan and gluten-free options. Award-winning West Lothian family business Boghall Butchers has built a loyal customer base in Scotland with a stream of accolades, including being crowned Supreme Champion at the British Pie Awards 2025. Their enticing kebab pie was the chosen winner from the fusion pie category, beating off over 900 entries with a rich donor meat filling. Matthew O'Callaghan, chair of the Mowbray Pork Pie Association and host of the British Pie Awards, said, "This year's awards have been a stellar tribute to the nation's love of pies, with a phenomenal atmosphere and, as always, oodles of creativity on display. We had a wonderful day on Wednesday as we were given the important job of sampling some truly outstanding pies. Boghall Butchers was victorious among some stiff competition in the steak and pie category with their iconic steak and kidney round. These awards highlighted the true skill and imagination of pie makers across the UK, which is why this win is so well deserved. The British Pie Awards recruited the most qualified pie connoisseurs to judge every single entry. A record 187 judges are on the panel with extensive industry experience between them. This includes pie buyers from Tesco and Sainsbury's, a selection of esteemed food writers and journalists, and in 2015, Supreme Champion Neil Broomfield.
Carer struck off after abusive behaviour conviction. An article by Isla Story. A West Lothian carer has been struck off after his threatening and abusive behaviour resulted in a criminal conviction. Barry McLaughlin was employed at a nursing home in Livingston as a senior carer when he was involved in a number of incidents between February the 19th and March the 9th, 2023. His behaviour towards a vulnerable resident he supported caused serious emotional and physical harm. He was found to have shouted and sworn at them, pushed them onto a bed, made threats of violence, threatening gestures and offensive remarks. On June the 25th, 2025, he was convicted at Livingston Sheriff Court of an offence relating to his treatment of the resident, which was discovered after their family placed a camera in their room at the care home. In a report detailing their decision, the Scottish Social Services Council, SSSC, found McLaughlin's fitness to practice to be impaired and ordered his removal from the register effective from Thursday, March the 12th. They wrote, social service workers must not abuse, neglect or harm people who use social services. They are expected to respect and maintain the dignity of the people they support and work in a safe, effective manner. They are also expected to be reliable, dependable and uphold the law. You have physically and emotionally abused a vulnerable person in your care on several occasions over a period of almost 3 weeks, and you were convicted of a criminal offence as a result of this behaviour. Your actions are fundamentally incompatible with professional registration, and this behaviour is completely unacceptable from a person trusted to support vulnerable people. The behaviour leading to the conviction amounts to serious physical and emotional harm directed towards a vulnerable person who should have felt safe and protected by you in that care setting. Your behaviour was threatening and raises serious value issues that are not aligned with a care and supportive role. It is not the type of behaviour which can be remedied through further training or reflection. Although the SSSC acknowledged McLaughlin had shown regret and remorse for his actions and cooperated with their investigation, they could not be satisfied the risk of repeated behaviour was low, as he had only held registration for around a year prior to the incidents. The report continued, after referring to our decision's guidance, we decided to impose a removal order, removing your registration from the SSSC register. The extremely serious nature of his actions and impairment of his fitness to practice being incompatible with continuing registration meant a warning or suspension order would not have been appropriate. Bosses at Livingston Care Home were approached for comment.
Bands celebrate another major championship. This is an unattributed article. A West Lothian band is celebrating after retaining its Scottish Brass Band Championship title. Whitburn Band, conducted by Florent Didier, won the competition on Sunday at Perth Concert Hall in a field of 10 bands performing Elgar Variations by Martin Ellaby. It is the fourth time in 5 years that Whitburn, who is supported by commercial and residency property company Greyside Developments, has won the Scottish title, and the 24th time in its history. Chris Bradley was named Best Cornet for the 10th time, meaning he now has won the prize more than any other player in history. Andrew McMillan won the prize for Best Tenor Horn, while Valentine Duke won the prize for Best Euphonium. Paul Kiernan continued his remarkable personal record, winning his 21st Scottish title and picking up the Best Trombone accolade for the 13th time. It was a very busy weekend for the band, as the day before its contest victory, Whitburn was on the pitch at Murrayfield, performing the French national anthem ahead of the Six Nations match between Scotland and France in front of a packed stadium with a global TV and radio audience. Whitburn Band is now looking forward to representing Scotland at the National Brass Band Championships of Great Britain, which will be held at the Royal Albert Hall in London in October. And there's a picture of the band celebrating with the cup and all cheering, and they all look very happy.
Badminton tournament delights MSP. Amman Valley MSP Angela Constance attended the Lothians charity badminton tournament at Exide Craigwood, supporting efforts to raise funds for the British Heart Foundation. Now in its 8th year, the community tournament has brought together local teams and supporters to raise vital funds for heart and circulatory research across the UK. The event celebrates the positive impact of sport in encouraging active lifestyle while supporting an important charitable cause. Participants from a wide range of backgrounds took part in the tournament, highlighting the strong sense of community and shared commitment to raising awareness and funds for heart health. Ms. Constance said, "I am delighted to attend the Lothians charity badminton tournament in support of the British Heart Foundation. It was inspiring to see so many people coming together to raise vital funds for heart and circulatory research. Events like this show the real strength of our community, promoting teamwork, healthy lifestyles and supporting a cause that affects so many families across the UK. My thanks go to the organisers, participants and volunteers who made such a success of the event."
MSP and father speak out over heart recovery, an article by Ross Thompson. Lothian MSP Sue Webber and her father Jimmy have shared details of their heart conditions and medical research funded by the British Heart Foundation, which has helped their recovery. The father and daughter came together as part of the Heart Charity's Keep Scotland Beating campaign, shining a spotlight on the impact of living with cardiovascular disease. To mark 65 years since BHF began, the charity is unveiling 65 red benches across the UK in tribute to those living with cardiovascular disease and the power of research. Every 3 minutes, someone in the UK dies from cardiovascular disease, with the condition affecting more than 730,000 people in Scotland alone. Now Sue, 53, and her dad Jimmy, 81, a retired police officer, have shared their stories for the British Heart Foundation, BHF Scotland, #Red Bench Diaries, a series which will feature online and across social media. Sue was referred to the BHF-funded Scott Heart Trial after an annual GP check-up in 2024 indicated she was at risk of heart disease. "I had high blood sugar level, high cholesterol, was overweight, a former smoker, in my 50s and female. All red flags for heart disease," said Sue. She volunteered to take part and was randomly selected to have a 3D CT heart scan, which identified a blockage in a coronary artery. A former medical rep, Sue realised the implications could be significant. It was the wake-up call she needed to change her life. She said, "I feared I was going to have a heart attack. I was determined to improve my health. I lost nearly 3 stone and now go to the gym twice a week and walk 15,000 steps a day on average. My diet is better and I've cut alcohol by 2/3. Prior to this, I tried lots of things but always gave up. But my mindset shifted." But Sue wasn't new to heart concerns. Back in 2012, her dad underwent open heart surgery for a coronary bypass after experiencing chest pains. Then just before Christmas last year, Jimmy became unwell again and was taken to hospital by ambulance, where a troponin blood test, another BHF-funded breakthrough, indicated heart damage, and he was also diagnosed with atrial fibrillation. Jimmy was kept in hospital for 2.5 days and was discharged in time to see his football team Hearts play at Tynecastle. "It was a big game and the Hearts won, and I survived it," joked Jimmy. Jimmy now takes a strong blood thinner as well as statins to manage his heart condition. "Dad is doing okay now," said Sue. "Getting healthier myself has made me stronger and more fit and more able to cope with my parents being unwell. Having the physical health I have now means I'm able to do more, and it has also helped my mental health because I'm more active. It allows me to manage all those things. There's not much they can do about Dad's atrial fibrillation, which was a silent condition and undiagnosed until it took over. But there's lots of research happening, and I know the BHF and clinicians will be looking at ways to diagnose this, treat it, and look at the symptoms. I know they are continuing to find new treatments, finding new drugs, and to help people. Jimmy added, given what has happened to me, I think I've been so lucky, taken to the right place at the right time. I don't mind being a guinea pig for anything they want to try. British Heart Foundation hopes that the red benches will encourage others to open up about their experience of living with cardiovascular disease and help raise awareness in Scotland. The charity is also urging people for donations so they can help fund more groundbreaking research to keep Scotland's hearts beating. David McColgan, head of BHF Scotland, said, Sue and Jimmy's story shows the reality of living with cardiovascular disease, and we are so grateful that they have shared their experiences to help others. By sharing the stories of people who live with cardiovascular disease on our iconic red benches across the UK, we hope to start more conversations. Research will help us save and improve more lives, but the only way we can fund the scientific breakthroughs of tomorrow is thanks to the public's generous donations. Every day, around 50 people in Scotland die from cardiovascular disease. For more information, visit www.bhf.org.uk/what-we-do/in-your-area/keep-Scotland-beating. And there's a lovely photograph of Sue with her dad Jimmy on one of the red iconic benches.
This next article is about Livy's up-and-coming game against Kilmarnock this weekend, and it's called Livy in Last Chance Saloon. Kerr knows Crunch Killy clash is pivotal to club's survival bid. Cammy Kerr admits Livingston are drinking at the Last Chance Saloon as they prepare for next weekend's Crunch relegation battle against Kilmarnock. The Basement Lions briefly cut the gap on their closest rivals with a hard-earned point at Hibs on Saturday, only for Killy to beat Hearts later that evening and to move 9 points clear. With just 8 games to go, the West Lothian side's predicament is looking increasingly desperate. And experienced fullback Kerr knows a victory at Rugby Park is a must if they are to pull off an unlikely escape act. Kerr said, I think it would be stupid to say it's not a big game. It's a massive game. That's why you're in football. You've got to deal with pressure. You've got to deal with big games, and we've got to make sure that our mindset is right for the game. We need to make sure we're mentally prepared to go into it and work as hard as we did against Hibs to make sure we've got that wee bit more going forward. I think we can impose ourselves on them. We understand the task at hand is so difficult, and we're under no illusions. We're going to work our hardest. People can say we're not going to do it, but I truly believe that we'll keep going and make it a massive fight. Livingston have now drawn their last 4 games under new gaffer Marvin Bartley, and Saturday was the first clean sheet in 26 outings. Those are small crumbs of comfort, but Kerr is convinced they are heading in the right direction. He added, since Marvin's came in, he's had his clear way of wanting to do things, and I'll give the boys massive credit. They've all bought into it. In the training every day, the boys work so hard, and it's easy to sit in and say that the boys have been given everything. I'm sure that he'll be the first to say that. As a defender, clean sheets are the main thing. We were delighted with the point, and I think we really defended really well throughout the game. Hibs obviously dominated the play, which we were probably expected coming up here. Hibs are a good side, and you've got to respect the players, but that was the game plan, to sit and frustrate them, and I thought we'd done that brilliantly. It was really important. It was a really important point for us, and it could be massive going forward, and we need to make sure we kick on. Following the clash with Hibs, Livy have just 2 more games before the split with the visitors of leaders Hearts on April the 5th, and a visit to Dundee United on April the 7th. And there's a picture of Cammy Kerr. And also there's the league table, the Premiership, the bottom six, with Livingston unfortunately sitting at the bottom with only 15 points.
Wolves make history with National League double. Wolves Basketball Club celebrated one of its proudest days in their history this month as both their under-18 men and senior men teams were crowned SBC National League champions of their respective divisions, completing a remarkable double for the grassroots basketball club. Wolves senior men were up first and earned their title as league champions with a commanding 93-69 victory over North Lanarkshire Chiefs. The game began as a tight contest, with the Chiefs edging the first quarter 21-18 despite Harris Christie keeping the Wolves in contention with early points. The home side responded strongly in the second period, producing an impressive offensive display to take a 46-39 lead into the half-time, with Jack Cohen playing an important role in the offensive. The decisive moment came in the third quarter when the Wolves produced a dominant 19-0 run to extend their lead to 57-39. Although North Lanarkshire attempted to rally, the Wolves remained in control, heading into the final quarter with a 69-57 advantage. The home side continued to press their advantage in the final period, outscoring the Chiefs 24-12 to secure an impressive 93-69 victory, with Christie leading the scoring with 20 points. Senior men captain Jake Leeton said that the accomplishment was a proud moment for the team and for the club. He commented, "It's a huge achievement for everyone involved. These boys have worked hard all season, and we've really enjoyed playing together to win the league at home. I am just so proud of everyone." The celebrations continued later in the day as the under-18 men secured their title in dramatic fashion with a thrilling 107-103 victory over City of Edinburgh and Bathgate Academy. The contest was a roller coaster from start to finish, featuring 18 lead changes and 10 ties as both teams battled for control. City of Edinburgh made the stronger start, taking the narrow 19-17 lead at the end of the first quarter. The Wolves stayed close thanks to the relentless efforts of Todd Kilgour, and the back-and-forth nature of the game continued into the second quarter as both sides traded baskets. The visitors held a slim 50-47 advantage at half-time and maintained their lead for much of the third quarter. However, the Wolves refused to back down and entered the final period trailing 79-73. A determined rally followed, with key contributions from Mark McDougall and Kilgour having the Wolves surge ahead in the closing minutes to secure a dramatic 107-103 victory and seal the league title in front of their home crowd. Under-18 captain Yannick Kilgour said that the win reflected the spirit within the team throughout the season. He said, "We've worked really hard all year and we've always stuck together as a team. Even when we were behind, we believed that we could come back. I have played with some of these players for 10 years, and winning the league with this group is something we'll remember for a long time. It is very special to me." Head coach Aidan Gallagher said, "The double title win was a special moment for the Wolves community." He said, We're a grassroots club, and our focus has always been about getting people to have the chance to enjoy playing basketball and being part of a team. To see both our teams embody that spirit and win their league on the same day is incredibly special and something the whole club can be proud of. And the story of these victories are displayed in the newspaper with nice bright coloured pictures with the senior team in blue and members of the under-18 group in a white outfit, and in both cases showing off the silverware that they won.
And that brings us to the end of this week's recording of the West Lothian Courier. Please can I remind everyone again to return your memory sticks to us by popping them into the envelope, and remember to change the address label as well. So that's all from Team 1 this evening, but we'll be back again in 6 weeks' time. So until then, it's goodbye from our engineer Paul, and goodbye from all the readers, who are myself, Wendy.
And goodbye from Steve.
And goodbye from George.